Okay, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we're going to do a bit of an unboxing, a test, a review, a demonstration of this here ITEHIL water purifier. They make some pretty wild claims about this thing on their website. They say it can filter water, cola, coffee, and even urine. So we're going to put this thing to the test, the ultimate test, the Bear Grylls pee test. Yeah, that's right. With that being said, before I get too deep into it, I do want to give a bit of a disclaimer. They did send me this thing for free. I am not paid by them. They did not tell me what to say, but I did receive this for free. Also, I am not a water expert. I'm not a water filter expert. In fact, I am just an idiot that's about to drink his own pee on the internet. With that being said, let's get into it. So first things first, I want to show you the box because sometimes you can tell a lot about a product by the package it comes in. And this box is pretty nice. It's got a nice picture on the front. It's got a little bit of information on the side. It tells you that it weighs 13 pounds, operating water temperature, whatever. Some information about the electrics. Water flow, 250 milliliters a minute. One thing I did notice is it does ship from an address on Isis Avenue, which a little ominous. With that being said, obviously that doesn't really matter. So we are just going to open it up. And one thing I do need to say is this thing did come originally wrapped in plastic. This is not actually the first time I've had it out of the box. And this is the unit. It is about the size of a toaster. It looks like a toaster, but from the future. It's got some information there. I think they're instructions, frankly. You pop that open. It's got a spot for the two filters, which we will get into in a minute. And we'll continue on with the package. Again, it was packed nice and tight in there. And it comes with this box, which is all the accessories. It tells you exactly what comes in here. I don't really know what to say, but I do think it is nicely packed. So I think that's a positive for ITEHIL. We got a couple hoses. I think this thing needs 3 hoses total. We got a nice little storage bag, which I believe, I'm going to assume it fits everything. We'll test that later. We got a few more hoses. This will be the inlet hose with the weighted end. And then we'll come in here. We got a handle. I believe that's a handle. Some notes. A charging cable. And then we got a couple filters. This thing has 2 filters, which we'll talk more in depth with as we install them and put this thing together. Each one, this is an RO, reverse osmosis filter, and it tells you exactly what it does on the thing. And same with this one. This is the hybrid filter. It tells you what it does. Effectively filters water, sediment, rust, suspended matter, yada yada yada. Again, we'll talk more about this as we go. I'm going to unwrap these, put them in here. Again, it marks out which side is which. It looks like it's got some sort of twist lock. This one says RO, hybrid. So we are going to put this thing together, and we're going to talk more about it as I do that. So with that being said, let's go.
So as I start putting together this filter, let's talk more about it. First of all, it's currently selling for $299 American dollars, but since I'm Canadian, it's selling for $399 Canadian dollars. Like I mentioned earlier, they make some big claims about what this thing can filter. From rainwater to springs, lakes, ponds, rivers, swimming pools, swamp water, soda, coffee, sweat, and even urine. They actually have a video on their website where they show it doing some of those things. And here they list some of the key specs. Filter life, filter rate, and some more stuff. But this unit is made up of 2 filters, a hybrid filter, which is a PP carbon filter that filters out large particles like sediment and rust, and also has activated carbon, which absorbs impurities such as chlorine and organic compounds, which improves water taste, quality, and odor. It also has an RO filter, reverse osmosis, which filters out virtually all impurities with nanoscale membranes featuring microscopic pores, 0.1 nanometers or 0.0001 microns. And finally, it says it's tested and certified to NSF/ANSI 58, FDA, CE, EMC, PSE, FCC, RoHS standards. I have not independently verified any of those, nor do I really know what they mean. That is just information that I lifted straight off their website. Now let's get back to it.
Okay, this thing is now totally put together. One thing I do note is I believe I called this thing a handle. It is not a handle. It is a filter wrench. The filters are in there nice and tight. They were a little bit of a pain to get in, but ultimately, if it's a tight fit, you're going to have to work at it. You know what I mean? So I think that's probably a good thing that they're tight in there. I got two hoses here. We got a drinking water hose. The instructions tell you the white one isn't drinking water. This one is the wastewater, which will make more sense later. But that's what that is. I'm probably personally going to label these. But they're in this little thing here. And if you can't pull them out, but if you push it down, it comes out. And then if you push it in, it's now tight. So it's pretty simple to use, if I could see. There you go. Now they're both in there. Good. And for the record, this does not all fit in the accessory bag. Only the accessories fit in the accessory bag. But if I spin this thing around to the front, what we have here is this is the inlet hose, which threads on. Pretty simple. It is its own thread, and it just threads in there nice and good. So with that being tight, spin this around again. I'll show you the inlet hose is plenty long. That's got to be about maybe 10 feet. I'm going to estimate it at about 10 feet. Not that it's that important. It is plenty long enough. And then if you look here, we have an on-off button, an RO, and a hybrid button. I don't know exactly what they mean. They got some LEDs there that will tell you when to charge, when your filters are dead, all that jazz. So with that being said, we are going to test it out. And to do that, I have a giant container of 100% certified hose water. Because as you know, hose water tastes like hose water. So if this can filter out hose water, it can filter out anything. So that being said, I'm going to put this back on the ground. I'm going to drop my spout in there, and we are going to turn it on. One more thing to note is it specifically says in the instructions, do not run this thing without this hose being in the water. Important. Oh, golly. Okay. We are going to drop that hose into our filter, and then we are going to go with, well, I'm going to filter it this way so I can see the buttons myself. I can go in the accessory bag. Okay, so we have the white drinking water hose, and then we have the blue wastewater hose. Now I'm a tangled mess over here. That's pretty much my life. So I am a total disaster. These will probably unkink at some point in time. And then we're just going to press the on-off button. We're going to hold the on-off button. We have absolutely nothing. What does this say to do? Press and hold. For 3 seconds. 2, 3. Well, there we go. We are now on. You can hear it working. And you can see the LED is lit up. And it's doing its thing. And at some point in time, I believe this will start pumping out some water. This is the first time I've used this, so we're going to see what happens. Now that I've read the instructions further, this says it's going to self-clean for 10 minutes. So we are going to come back once it has done that, and then we're going to filter some water. Okay, I came back a little early. It's been about a minute, but it is self-cleaning. And you can see that this is clearly, I can see it's pretty cloudy looking. And then this will be my, oh no! I knew that was gonna happen. And then this will be my clear water. I'm gonna let it run a few more minutes. Hope you can see that. And this will be my clear drinking water. I'm just gonna let it run for a few more minutes, and I'm gonna get another drain bucket. Okay, I got another drain bucket just in case I overflow. But this thing has been self-clean. It is totally good, and you can see the rate of flow is good. I don't really know how to explain it. Obviously, this is pretty clean water, but we're gonna switch from this tub here into this glass, and this glass is probably dirtier than the tub itself. I mean by the water itself. But we're gonna fill this glass up, and I feel like this water is coming out about a 50/50 ratio from the dirty bin to the clean bin. But obviously very clean water. This is tap water. We have some of the best water here in the world. I do not know if that's 100% true. And like I said, this was hose water, so who knows? Actually, I'll pull this out here. I think the output of this one is a little faster, but very similar. Obviously, it's not the quickest way to fill a glass, but ultimately if it's good filtered water, you gotta have some patience. I have no patience. I think it's pretty full. It's full enough for this demonstration. So we'll hold the on off button. And we are off. We are dripping. This thing will be so much easier to use once these things kind of unkink themselves. Anyways, there's my glass of water. It looks very clear, obviously. It was clear to start. The glass for sure is dirtier than the water, but we'll do a little taste test. Yeah, it is very clean, filtered water. Absolutely cannot tell that it came out of a hose. But with that being said, we got to go test some dirtier water. So let's get this thing on the road, and we're going to go out to some sort of creek, lake. I'm not 100% sure yet, but we're going to go outside, and we're going to test this water filter properly. Let's go. Okay, I'm out here at my local creek. I got the ITEHIL up here on a rock. I got the inlet down pinned behind a rock. And I got my trusty glass. So we're going to turn this thing on and see if we can get some drinking water here. This thing is running. Now we got the dirty water. And we got the clean water. I have already decided I'm going to mark which one is the clean water. It does say, but I'm going to put some tape on there with a very obvious sign that says drinking water. But, you know, I don't really know what to say. Again, we're filling this thing up. It ain't the quickest, but ultimately, if it's clean drinking water, it's worth waiting for. And again, absolutely very crystal clear water. I wouldn't expect anything less. That water looks relatively clean already. It's a little cloudy and a lot of runoff from the recent rain, but nothing crazy. Again, tastes like totally normal water. Probably exactly the same as before. With that being said, I think I'm going to go see if I can find some dirtier water.
So before I could go find some dirtier water, I tried to show an up-close comparison of the flow, and it did not go well. Watch the green LED in the back.
Here's a comparison of the flows. The blue water is the dirty water coming out, and the white is the clear water coming out. Clean water, I should say.
And here's attempt number 2.
We're just doing a little comparison here. The clean water is coming out on the white. The blue is the dirty water. Well, that's weird. So that's weird. I was doing a little comparison of the flow, and it started to shut off on me after about 30 seconds of use. I do not know if it's not charged properly, although I do feel like I charged it, or if I got some sort of issue. I'm gonna move it to a flatter spot and then retry.
At this point, the LED started flashing at me, so it was time to go back home and reassess.
Okay, so I'm officially back at home, and we're going to talk about things. So basically, this unit failed on me at the creek, and I am very disappointed. I had very high hopes going into this, actually, and this thing has been very disappointing so far. I thought it was working good, but evidently it is not. So basically, when this thing is on, this light is green, and it is working, and it seems to be working, and it pumps out clean water. At least it appears to be clean water, and everything's working. But then it starts to flash, and at the river it shut off, I believe 3 times. It just shut off after about a minute of use. Now it currently runs, and we'll talk more about that in a second, but it currently stays running, and it seemingly is filtering water. But the flashing light continues. And then if you read on the instructions here, it tells you that if the flashing light is, or if the light is flashing, it means the filter needs to be replaced. So I'm going to go ahead and cut myself off there. And I want to say that I actually do not know if my green light flashing means that my filters are like plugged. That's the way I interpret it reading the instructions. But the more I've had time to think about it, I actually, if you look down here, I have my run, charge, RO, and hybrid lights. So I believe the RO and the hybrid lights are the ones that would be flashing if my filters were clogged. So with that being said, I also don't know that if my flashing green light means that this is actually defective or anything like that. And I don't know if that's related to my shutoff problem. The green light flashing, it starts green. Maybe that's the cleaning mode, and then it goes to flashing when it's filtering. But at this point in time, what I'm actually going to do is swap out the filters, because ITEHIL actually supplied me with 2 extra filters from the start. So I'm going to replace them, rule them out, and then I'm going to start over again and try to filter some water from there. Lock it in. Lock it in. Okay, we are officially ready to go. I got my 2 bins, my clean bin and my dirty water bin. And I have my big container down there with hose water in it, and we're gonna run this thing, and we'll turn it on. It is now running. And originally, this thing said to run it for 10 minutes, which I do not know if I fully did the first time. So we are officially gonna set a timer for 10 minutes, and we are going to see what happens. We're gonna see how much water has come out and all that jazz. Maybe I'll slide these in here, and yeah, we're gonna fill it up and see what happens. And if you look in here, the dirty filter, you can definitely see dirty water coming out. No doubt about it. And then the clean water is coming out, and it looks clean. Turn that off. Okay, so my timer has run out. It was 10 minutes. We'll call that 11 minutes because there's some time before I have my timer set. I got about just over 2 liters of water. That's theoretically clean. And then we got this whole tub of dirty water. I think they technically call it wash water, which is theoretically you could use it for washing your dishes, but I would not. And then I got that also from the same dirty line coming out. My light is still flashing. You've probably seen it. So at this point, I now think this thing is not functioning properly because of that flashing light. Well, that being said, I also just watched it filter water. So what I'm going to do is push on with a little bit more testing. But I do have this jug of tea that I made yesterday. I made 3 liters of tea. But this here is 2 liters of tea. It is made with, I put 4 tea bags of one kind, 3 tea bags of another. So there is a whole ton of tea in this water. But obviously this is very brown. So it will at least tell us if this water is getting filtered in a way that's actually doing something. Because maybe this light is the problem and it's actually filtering it out. So we will see if it is capable of filtering more than just water. So I'm going to go drain these buckets again and then I'll be back. Okay, I am back and we are about to do the tea test. And I'll take this lid off. I'll put that over there. Then I'll take this here water filter end, the intake, and we're going to put it in our jug. It sinks to the bottom. It does not sink to the bottom. I will hold it at the bottom. This is probably, it does sink. The hose is just weighting itself down. So we are going to go. This is dirty water. This is clean water. This is tea. And we're turning this machine on. And we'll see what happens. Okay, it is on. And maybe I'll set a timer. Just so I know how long this stuff takes. It's clearly sucking up the tea. This water's clear and this water's clear, so it must be water in the system still. If you noticed, my light is flashing. Again, saying the filter is clogged. Get all this ghetto tape off here. Put that in there. And you can clearly see how this is coming out. But I will say, what is coming into that glass is very clear. And it does kind of feel like it's working. I'm going to re-pour this in here. That did shut off. Oh, it shut off again. So let's turn this on again. Off again. And there's supposedly a light that says if it needs to be charged, which is not flashing. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this thing just does not work. That was less than 3 minutes of running time. I kind of feel like the filter works because that is clear water. And if I drink it, that just tastes like plain water. Which is kind of a trip because this is undoubtedly filled with tea. And that is like the wastewater brine that comes out of it. And it is clearly brown. So it did strip the tea from that water. But obviously this thing has now shut itself off. I have replaced the filters. It says the filters are clogged. It does not work. So whether it works or doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? You cannot rely, in my opinion, you cannot rely on this thing. Okay, I'm going to cut myself off again before I say anything too mean here. But obviously I am having issues, and I do think it's because my filters are clogging, and I think that's why my light is flashing green. But again, I still do not know. So at this point I went on YouTube and watched a bunch of reviews to try to find if, which I will say actually, most of the reviews are positive, although I did read in a few comments people having similar issues to me. But I did look, and it seemed like everybody's light was just staying green, which is what I think it's supposed to do. But one other thing I noticed was somebody had their thing plugged in, and their charge light was lit up when it was plugged in. Mine does not do that. When it is charging, when it's plugged in, it does nothing. So I thought that was a warning light because of I had charge. I know I had charge. It's been plugged in. I thought it was a low charge warning light, but I think it's actually just a charge light indicator. That mine, just for whatever reason, doesn't work. So this shutting down problem could also be I'm experiencing low charge. This thing might have bad battery life. And before I talk too much crap about it, I need to charge this thing fully and completely rule that out as a possibility. Again, it could just have bad battery life. So at this point, I charge this thing overnight with my external battery, and I know for a fact it took charge because my battery dropped 20% overnight, like 12 hours worth of charging. And this thing is fully charged, and I'm going to do what I set out to do, and I'm going to put it to the pee test. Okay, we are officially at go time. I have my pot full of pee. Actually, I'll get these pee bottles out of the way. So I got a bucket full of pee. I got my clean water. I got my clear glass. And I got my Aunt Jemima down here to collect. So we'll pick up this end, the inlet hose, and we will put it in my bucket. Make sure we don't splash, because that's gross. I should probably have, well, I guess I do have safety glasses on. Okay, we are ready to push the on button. Again, fully charged. And we're going to see what happens. It shut off. Again, this thing says it takes 30 seconds to self-clean, and then it shoots out clear water, so. And we're off again. Well, I will say it does not work. It's as plain as that. This does not work as well as it was advertised. This thing is obviously 100% charged. I undoubtedly charged it all night. It took charge off my battery. It is charged. They say on their website it can filter pee. It is not. I'm not doing anything crazy to this. This is the second set of filters. It sort of worked a little bit. It did produce clear water. Clear water that I'm not really prepared to drink at this point. Well, it smells like clear water. And I'm going to pour it in my clear glass because this Tupperware is a little dirty. Well, it is clear water that came out, and that is between T and P, and a little bit of, no, there was clear water in there. Sorry, there was tap water in there. And it did spit out some combination of P and T in my disposal bottle. But obviously it does not stay running, which is critical. So, I'm going to gather my thoughts. I'm going to get rid of all this stuff. And I'll come back with a bit of a conclusion. Obviously I'm very disappointed, but I will come back with a conclusion after I gather my thoughts so I don't say anything too mean. But, yeah, so I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I've decided to do one more final test. I pulled out the filters that were in there and went back to the original filters that I thought failed. And we will repeat the test. I got water over here, thing in there, my Aunt Jemima down below, so we're going to turn it on. It is doing its flushing system. Just in case. Oh, and we're off. There we go. That's the final test. That's all I'm testing. And my dog's back in there. You might be able to hear him sniffing. Anyways, that's it. That's the end. I'll come back with the conclusion once I gather my thoughts, but I'm fresh out of ideas on ways to test this, ways to fix it. So yeah, I'll be back with a conclusion in a minute. It is. Oh. Oh, come here, bud. Oh, what's up, bud? Oh, yeah, you should get. Oh. Oh. Okay, so we do have this thing filtering again. Wow, now that I've diluted my water, we have an almost full jug of pee, tea, and dirty water. And we have, I'll call that 100 mils of water, which might be extreme. But since this thing is running, oh, we got a leak here. Since this thing is running, I think we'll go until this thing is totally filled. Or it shuts off. But for whatever reason, this thing is not shutting off. And I can see in my camera that my light is not flashing. Let's double check here. My light is not flashing. So I guess this is running the way it's supposed to. Albeit with very, very limited flow. And we'll see it is leaking at this little outlet here. Oh. Is it leaking in more than one place? I don't know if it is leaking in more than one place or that's all from that original leak.
So I have absolutely no idea how or why, but for some reason, the filter stayed running for 15 minutes. I had given up several times, and I genuinely pushed the button that last time for comedic effect. But I guess I learned a lesson in never giving up. I fully expected this to be a quick and easy review, but it was anything but. It was a true odyssey into filtration. Was it worth it? Absolutely not. The only thing waiting for me at the end is a cold glass of my own filtered pea water. One that almost no one is even going to see me drink because this video is way too damn long. Although if you are still watching, please like and subscribe and maybe even follow me on Instagram.
Okay, so we have a full glass of water. I am going to clean this stuff up, and I think we're going to have to do a taste test, and then we're going to have to come up with a conclusion. But after some fiddling, apparently I got it working probably the way it was intended. So, yeah, with that being said, I'm going to clean up, probably drink that water, and then we'll come up with a conclusion. Okay, we're back with my clean glass of water that was filtered. I will note that I have this big old 4-liter jug filled with TP and water that I thinned it out with. And this thing, I did get it to function there, as you saw. Once I thinned it out, it did filter, and it left me with this water, which I am going to taste test against my better judgment. Obviously, I had issues with this. I do not trust this unit. So, but I am going to taste it because I feel like I need to. I feel like that's clean water. So, there might be a little taste in there. It's hard to say. I do not have the I do not have the best palate and or sense of smell, but it does smell fine. I don't have to say it tastes fine. It might. Yeah, it does. I'll say it does not taste bad. So without having the ability to test this thing properly, like with a ppm meter, I'll say it tastes fine, and I would call that clean water. So I guess I don't really know what to say. Well, first of all, I will not recommend this product. If I had spent my own $400 on this unit and it worked the way it did, for me, I would be very disappointed. With that being said, it did filter clean water out of dirty pea water. It did not filter straight pea or barely filtered straight pea. It needed to be thinned out with water. It did not filter the tea without probably clogging or whatever it did. I fought this thing the whole way. I'd actually given up before I had finally got it working again. And all this, remember, started at a creek, which I would describe as a clean creek. That's when I first had issues with this. So it wasn't doing anything extreme like testing the pea or the tea. It was a plain creek in a wooded area, but not that far out of the city. But it was a pretty clean creek, and that's when I started having the shut-off issues. So, like I said, I cannot recommend this product. But on the other hand, it is kind of impressive, I guess. When it worked, it is impressive what it did. And I did watch some other reviews, and most of them were positive. So, you know, take that for what it is. I potentially could have got a defective product. Defective products happen. Remember, I did have extra filters, which I changed. So I had extra filters. That's 2 different sets of filters trying to get this thing to work. Maybe I have a defective product. Maybe those other people just got lucky, or maybe theirs eventually did fail. I'm not sure. So take it for what it is. Maybe they have a good warranty. I do not know. I am not going to go through the warranty process. I have made my mind up that I am not going to recommend this. I do have a code to save 20%, which was Sarge Inc. 20, but well, honestly, I probably shouldn't really give that out because I don't think it's worth it. And if you do that, 100%, that is all on you. That's your own risk. But they gave me the code. I will use it. Make your own decisions. We are all adults. Hopefully you're an adult. If not, do not buy this as a child. Yeah, so that's really all I can say. It kind of works. Mostly doesn't. It does make water. Barely, if you want to fight it the whole way. So with that being said, I do not know what else to say. The ITEHIL water purifier, not worth it. I will say, actually. In conclusion, I feel like this thing, in my mind, was made as like a prepper type device. So if the shit hit the fan, you would have a big thing here to rely on clean drinking water. But in my experience, I would not rely on this machine if my life depended on it. Far from it. So I can't recommend it for that. So unreliable at best, useless at worst, but unreliable at best. So if you are counting on something in a life-saving situation where you need clean water, there's no other way to get it. Yeah, I just would not rely on this ITEHIL water purifier. So with that being said, well, I'll drink a little more water to go. And then I'll say peace.